Hey guys, welcome to another Byron Sunday Sessions. Now, my special guest and good friend of mine is rugby league legend Sam Thaiday. Sam?
How you going, mate? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for coming around, sit around the fire.
Oh, that's all right. I had to cut that wood myself too.
Yeah, well, you got to earn your keep, mate.
Got to earn your spot around the fire.
Exactly. So, guys, I met Sam in 2006.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the great run of the Queensland State of Origin side. And we sat together, I think, either that year, and we continued to sit together and chat after the game, and we got to know each other quite well. But before we get into the Origin stuff, which I love talking about, take me back to, you're a kid, you grew up in Townsville. What was it like growing up there, and obviously, how did you get into rugby league?
Growing up in Townsville, rugby league was the only option, I thought.
Yeah. Same like me, like I grew up in a place called Chinchilla, which is rugby league.
Chinchilla Bulldogs?
Chinchilla Bulldogs, that's it.
There you go. Yeah. Great watermelon festival out there too.
I've never been there.
I've never been to it either.
I've got to go one of these days.
I used to, actually this is a fast forward, but when I first moved to Brisbane, I was living with a guy actually from Chinchilla.
Oh yeah.
Chris Davies. He was a deaf rugby league player, played on the wing for us.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic player. He's always told me I need to go out and do the watermelon festival, so I'll make sure I do that. But rewind back to being a kid growing up in Townsville, all my friends played rugby league, so there was no other option really for me, and I think that's what kids end up doing. So whatever your friends or your group of friends are doing, you end up jumping on that. And I did athletics from the age of 6 to 12. And
what were you good at in athletics?
I was a thrower.
I was going to say shot put.
Shot put, discus, javelin. My brother was a lot smaller than I was. He was a lot faster. He was super good at 100, 200, 400, and then long jump and high jump. But I had the throwing events covered, and we had a little athletics club around the corner from our house, and I think there was at one point my brother had all the records and everything to do with running and jumping, and then I had all the records to do with all the throwing events,
field events. Yeah, right.
Absolutely loved it, but moving into kind of late primary school, early high school, all my friends were playing rugby league and said, "Come and play."
Go and do it.
Our little athletics club.
How old were you when you first started playing rugby league?
I was only 12 when I first started playing, so I just started playing in primary school with my mates and played for the school team. I ended up signing up to play junior league for Brothers Rugby League Club in Townsville, which is a pretty big rugby league club. And I think the best thing for me was the Cowboys had only just kind of come into the competition in 1995, and I started playing 96, 97. And where our junior club was right at the back door of the stadium where the stadium
Cowboys,
was. That was kind of, I would go and train at Brothers, but look at the big stadium in the background and go, one day I'll get there.
So did you have a goal or a desire to play for the Cowboys first before any other team? Because obviously your career was with the Broncos.
Yeah, so as a kid I thought that's all I wanted to do was play for my local team, and that was the Cowboys. I was a part of a few junior camps and clinic as a young kid coming through the ranks, but never quite got that scholarship or earned that contract. So I was, in rugby league terms, I was a late bloomer. So I really didn't get signed until I was 17, my last year of high school.
So what age are the other guys getting signed at? It's young now, isn't it?
It's young now, so, and that's the scary thing. But there's kids that are signing contracts and aligning themselves with teams at the age of 15. So for me, I hadn't had a scholarship or anything at that point in time, and all you wanted as a kid was you wanted a tracksuit. All I wanted was that Cowboys tracksuit to know that I had done something or made it. But it never eventuated.
Junior footy, obviously Townsville. Now, who were you competing against, and how far did you have to travel for it? Because I'm sure that Mum and Dad were doing a lot of driving for you. How many brothers and sisters did you have as well?
So I'm one of 5 boys. I've got 2 adopted brothers as well. So my oldest brother, he's adopted, and my second youngest brother, he's also adopted.
Okay.
So
that's great.
Through traditional Torres Strait Island adoptions, so they come to live with us when they were young. So
that's fantastic, man. How was that? And you guys just took them in as your own family?
That's it. They're brothers. They are my cousins.
Yeah.
But they're my brothers.
You don't see them any other way.
No, I don't see them any different to that. But growing up in Townsville, again, having a big family, you weren't jumping on flights flying to places to play. We drove everywhere, as far north as Cairns, inland to Mount Isa sometimes.
4 hours from
4 hours north, Mount Isa is a fair drive.
That's a long way.
And then we'd go as far south as Rockhampton sometimes to play footy. So Mum loaded us up in the Mitsubishi Star Wagon, and we all had our spots in the van. And
mate, how tough is it playing, in that junior level, the rugby league up there in the Central Queensland, North Queensland? There's some tough players, isn't there?
Yeah, and you kind of got the different areas you went to. You played against different kids, so. We'd go to play in Central Queensland, and you'd play against all these farm boys, and they were tough farm boys who they've been working since they were able to walk, pretty much. You'd kind of go up to Cairns, and you'd have a bit of a mix. So some guys from the Torres Strait would have come down and played in the Cairns team, and also all the other Aboriginal communities around there as well. So they were a little bit faster and zippier. And then you go out to Mount Isa, and it was just you didn't know what you were going to get at Mount Isa. You had a couple of the Indigenous boys that played, but you also had some really tough kids out there also that grew up in property. So
how did you fare amongst the toughness? Were you tough back then as you were when you were playing in the NRL?
I think my mum was happy that I started playing rugby league, because it gave me a place to expel energy and vent a little bit of anger that I had as a kid. So it was a great way for me to focus energy into something, and I try to mix it with the best. There was, in saying that, there was a lot of kids that were better players than I was, but I just had a drive and determination to make it. And
did you play some junior Queensland teams along the way through?
Well, I didn't make a Queensland team till I was 17, and that's why I say that I'm a late bloomer, because if you're making under 15 rep teams and you're making your 16s and 17s, you're usually going to be a gun player. But I had to wait my turn, and I never made an Australian team as a junior. Queensland was as high representative level as I got to, but at the end of the day, that was enough to get me seen by the Broncos, and I signed a contract.
Well, let's fast forward to the Broncos. So the Cowboys was the goal. You want to go for the Cowboys, but was there interest from the Cowboys, or did the Broncos get in early and just snap you up?
Well, I recently bumped into Murray Hurst, who was the coach there at the time, and he said it was ridiculous. It was something like, he went and told the recruiters, just give him something, anything, $100, give him a pair of boots, and let's get this kid locked in.
The Cowboys,
yeah. And they said, well, we can't afford to do that at the moment. We've got this kid and this kid on a scholarship. We can't afford to get this kid. Funny enough, I worked at a Cowboys game. I used to sell Big League magazines, so I could get a free ticket to go to the footy, and the Broncos were up there in town, and I ended up signing my Broncos contract in the car park of, I think it might have been Dairy Farmers Stadium back in those days.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, right, literally under the nose of the Cowboys. So
you come to the Broncos, Wayne Bennett's the coach.
Yep.
Great coach.
Yeah, great coach.
Did you feel that under him you just started to blossom, and did it take a little while to get there?
I was a 17-year-old kid when I came down. I didn't turn 18 to midway through the season, and when I first came, I thought I would never play first grade at the Broncos. There was players like Shane Webke, Petro Simonasiva, Brad Thorne came back a little bit later on. Tony Carroll was there. Andrew G's last year. Gordon Tallis' last year. And that was like the regular first graders. And then you had the guys that were in and out, was Dane Carlow, Brad Myers, Carl Webb. So here I was.
Big names there, though. Yeah, and tough guys.
And then even the crop of guys that came through when I came through were a lot better players than I was. Tommy Leroy Lars, Neville Costigan, Ben Hennett. These were all guys that played Australian schoolboys and were earmarked to be the next big thing.
So did you kind of feel, was your confidence a little bit, I mean, you're obviously confident enough to play for the Broncos, but did you feel like you weren't as good as the other guys, or did you wanted to kind of get to the stage where you want to be as good as those top players? You had the drive to get there?
Yeah, I knew I had to work harder.
Yep.
And I suffered with a lot of homesickness to start off with, coming from a big family where, I always had someone there to talk to, someone to kick a footy with. And I pretty much moved to Brisbane by myself as a 17-year-old kid. And, I really struggled that with the pre-season, you do a few months before Christmas and then a few months after Christmas before the season kind of starts in March. And I went home on our Christmas break, and I was fairly close to staying back in Townsville, and that's how kind of homesick I was at that point in time. But I'm glad I went home and had the conversation with Mum, and she pretty much kicked me up the butt and said, go back.
So you come back, obviously it didn't take too long before you were in the State of Origin side. What was the first year you played Origin?
2006 was my first year.
So, okay, great.
Yeah, I debuted in 2003 for the Brisbane Broncos, and 3 years later I'm playing Origin.
Wow.
At the age of 21.
Well, that's the first year that I came in. So, as I said earlier, Sam and we sat together on the bus, and it was, for me, to be invited in, because Mel was the coach back then, and Mel invited some mentors to come on board to try and help inspire you guys. We didn't do much, but we just kind of hung around you. But for me, I remember getting, it was always a kid, I wanted to play, you always want to play State of Origin, you know, and so I remember having the opportunity to sit on the team bus with the Queensland side, and I remember just being so pumped up that when we got to the game, you guys all got off, and I was right behind you. I was ready to run on. It was just incredible to be there and to be involved in the chat with Mel, his talk, before the game, halftime, and to be involved in that. So I was pretty much there for 8 years with you guys when you had this winning streak.
Yeah.
And it was just.
Then you left and we lost that one.
That's right.
It's your fault.
But now you scored a try in that game, which I think was a try. In that was the 10th game. You would have won 10 years in a row, which is no one in Origin that had ever won more than 3 series before. And these guys, this team, won 4, which was never heard of, and then it just went on to win 9.
Yeah, I think we went 8 straight, and then we lost one.
Was it the 9th? Sorry. But I was in Amsterdam. I was on a tour in Amsterdam, and I remember watching this game and I was fuming. It was the second game, and you scored a try.
Yeah, I reckon I scored.
How did you feel after that? Because it was my interpretation of this was.
I was so confident, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Jared Hayne came in and hit the ball.
I thought there was enough grounding with the chest.
Yep.
They said that I'd lost control of the ball, so yeah, it was kind of it was kind of heartbreaking.
Yep.
And not that was the the one point in the game that lost us the series, but you still mull over those things and think about those things.
Well, it was an amazing run and amazing to be part of it. Now I've got something here, mate, that in 2009, I think it was.
Yeah, it's on the front.
Yeah, 2009. Get a little shot of that, Mos, if you can. 2009. Now, I was, after the game, Sam gave me this jersey. This is a pretty special jersey because it's the game you got sent off in.
I got sent for 10, yeah.
And this game was unbelievable, how tough it was between, New South Wales and Queensland. And something happened. Pricey got knocked out.
Yeah.
And something happened that upset the Queensland team and the Queensland crowd, and I have never been more scared for a New South Wales team on Queensland soil because the crowd was really ropeable this day.
Yeah. Well, if they still had the 4X cans, I'm sure they would have been. They would have been thrown for sure. At that point, but yeah.
Do you want to explain how you got sent off? We don't want to talk about that.
No. Well,
and who was the person who was a nice guy that copped it?
Well, I ended up getting sent for 10, which I. Was actually pretty cool, to be honest. With only a few seconds left in the game, but Steve Price had been knocked out on the ground. There was a bit of a melee that happened afterwards, and we ended up getting a penalty at the end of the game. And Lockie was the captain, and he gave the ball to Cameron Smith and said, "Mate, just tap it." Lockie wanted him to tap the ball and just throw it to him. And then we were just gonna bum rush them.
Giving away Queensland secrets here.
Yeah, but I don't know why Cam decided to
put it up. It was a kick.
He kicked it up in the air.
Yeah.
So poor Kurt Gidley was playing fullback.
I'll just say Kurt Gidley from
amazing
the
bloke,
such a nice bloke. Yeah. Did you hit him?
No, I didn't hit him. No, Hodjo and Gi went down the field to try and get into him, but. We didn't want to do anything to him because he was actually a good bloke. We wanted to get into the forwards, and then I ended up again. My nickname in New South Wales is third man in Thaiday, and I was again the third man in, and I chased Ben Cray and try to fight Ben Cray. And
another
again,
nice
Ben
guy.
Cray is one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. And I spoke to him just recently. I said, mate, I'm sorry. I ended his State of Origin career because I don't think he played Origin after that, because he pretty much came in to have a fight and then ran away. It didn't look good. It was one of the biggest roars and cheers I've heard from the crowd, and it was almost louder than when we run out on the field to start the game. So
it was an incredible time.
Yeah.
Another question just before we get off the footy. Playing for Australia, how did you feel when you got picked in the side and playing your first Test match?
Yeah, I was when I first found out I'd made the Australian team was in 2006, and we were on the plane on the way back home from the grand final, and the media manager, I was sitting there, I was still a bit chipper from the night before, and he came and told me that I was going to play for Australia, and I was absolutely over the moon. I kind of had a little bit of a taste for it early on in my career, and then it was a change of coaches, and I kind of didn't get back in until a little bit later. And some of those Australian tours, and especially some of the ones that we had over in the UK, were amazing. And we had such a great bunch of blokes, and we just had so much fun. We're doing 8, 9, 10-week tours in the UK, and they become your family, because
it would have been amazing to do that sort of thing.
Still winning the World Cup is one of my greatest achievements. We played New Zealand at Old Trafford, and absolutely pantsed them that day, and it was almost like a flawless game from the start to the end.
Yeah, well, congratulations, mate. Now, you also asked me to play at your wedding.
Yeah.
And he was going to give me his Australian jersey, or one of his Australian jerseys, which I couldn't do. Couldn't do the wedding, unfortunately. But we're going to sing a song for you now. Now, you've picked So Beautiful. All right, so we're going to sing a song. You're going to sing a song with me, one of mine. You've picked So Beautiful. Is there a reason for that? Just because you sing it so well, maybe?
Well, I had to go and have a listen to Pete Murray Centrals, and have a listen to see what song would suit the tone of my voice.
Right.
No reason but that,
That's where your voice is the silkiest.
Yeah, that's where it is the silkiest and smoothest.
Right.
But I think I asked you to sing
Saving Grace.
Saving Grace. Because, and then I can remember Rachel walking down the aisle to that, and I was like, I don't think she would have married me if you were there singing. So I actually thank you for not coming.
Oh, that's okay, man. Anytime. Well, let's do this song, mate. All right, here we go. Yeah, just be careful with eye contact, I think, on this one.
Yeah.
Found myself just the other day in the backyard of a friend's place, thinking about you, thinking of the crowd you're in, what you're up to, where you've been. Just thinking, know the clothes that you wear and the color in your hair shouldn't change you. And now you tell me, why is it so? You're bigger than mighty Joe, at least you think so. Got my fingers burned now when I think of touching your head. You have changed so much that I don't know if I can call you and tell you I care. And I would love to bring you down and plant your feet back on the ground. Threw my smoke down on the ground, turned my head and I heard the sound that reminded me of the day so young and sweet, always so much fun to me. At least I thought so. And now you think you're so damn fine, you can rule the world, no, not mine. I don't think so. It's all yours.
Got my fingers burned now when I think of touching your hand. You have changed so much that I don't know if I can call you and tell you I care.
Know the scene that you're in and the people that you've been with just get to me. But you think I'm not as cool, 'cause you are so beautiful. Who you fooling? I'm here to tell you, babe, the game you're in is just a game. So damn pretentious.
Got my fingers burned now when I think of touching your hand. You have changed so much that I don't know if I can call you and tell you I care. And I would love to bring you down, plant your feet back on the ground.
Finish it off. I think you're so
beautiful, so beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So beautiful.
So beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you, mate. Nice voice.